on the podcast. Today I got my favorite ginger cousin. I think I can say that now. You know what I mean? He's one of my favorite people on this planet. He's a guy I always talked about shit. I text him during UFC fights, so it was only right I had him on one of the best UFC fights of the year. Obviously, still got my co-host Bro John. I gotta pronounce the whole thing because he's not hip. So that's just how that goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there they go. What's going on, people? How you guys doing?
What's up, sir? How are you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Life's great.
All right, so we're gonna kick this bitch off with I love that I can curse, and my mom will probably say some shit in the comments. Then language, and it'll be spelled like languish, whatever. So yeah, man.
We're already gonna get on that.
Yeah, for real, bro. So let's start off with recapping UFC. I think it was 245. Steven, since you're our guest, you go first. What did you think of the card? What did you think of the fights, man?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I only saw the last three. I got out of work a little late. But if you ask me, those were the only three fights that mattered to me. I was nervous for Amanda Nunes, really nervous. I knew that she did well, but it looked at any point in that fight, she could have been hurt if she didn't have the wrestling defense that she had. And luckily, Duranami, she wasn't very good on the ground. I mean, she couldn't handle anything that Amanda had for her, which was a major plus for Amanda, because if it stayed standing up, you can already tell that Amanda took it down to the ground because she couldn't stand up with her. That one was a nervous fight. I still am currently taking antidepressants for the Max Holloway loss. I love him, man. What can I say? He's a good person. This guy that he fought, he kicked his legs. Volkanovski. They kept saying in the fight that he had tree trunk legs and that he used to weigh 240, and that was a major plus in his win. I was a little shocked that at the end of the fight, Max Holloway thought he had won, because even me going for Max Holloway, wanting Max Holloway to get the win, he didn't. He got his ass beat a lot. I mean, he literally had maybe 2%, 3% of that entire fight going his way, and congratulations to Volkanovski, because, I mean, if Max can't beat him on the rematch, he's going to hold the belt for a while. He's bigger than people. He's short, but one time for the short motherfuckers, including myself, with the big legs,
deadlifts.
Of course, Kobe Covington, Usman. I wanted Usman to go. Anybody who rocks that hat, I just don't generally like them. But a lot of interviews came out that he did beforehand regarding his character, and that he said it pretty much just to save his contract. I think he could have done something else. I don't think getting people riled up in a form of hatred, and listen, we all know that Brazil could look like a dump, but you just don't go and start telling people that their country is a dump and expect me to be a fan. I mean, that's just not... Anderson Silva never spoke shit about people like that, and he was loved by everyone. So I'm glad Usman got the win. I was shocked. Kobe still said that they stopped it a little early. I get why they stopped it. I really wish that Usman could have just pounded his face for real for the last 50 seconds. That 3-1 scorecard, I don't get that. I mean, at no point did I see Kobe Covington even winning that fight. He landed a couple great shots, but I mean, I think the deal breaker was when he got his jaw broken. That was it for me. I was like, holy shit. That was my take on those last three fights. Those are the only ones that I got to see. Very impressive. Really excited about the next couple of months of fights too. I mean, God, coming back, the fucking McNuggets is coming back. We gotta wait till April to watch Khabib fight, And will Dana please respond to this fucking podcast and tell me when the hell Henry Cejudo is going to fight? Because I want him to lose the belts already. I'm sick of this motherfucker.
He sold you 2 belts, isn't he?
Yeah, he has 2.
Yeah, 125, 135.
I can't see
All right,
that,
big.
dude.
All right, Little John. What's your take, brother? I know.
So I spent too much time trying to find the right connection through my VPN. We'll just leave it at that. And I came in during the Jose Aldo fight, man. I thought Aldo controlled that fight.
No, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
I have a quick question. Is smoking allowed in this podcast?
We just talked about VPN. We just talked about VPNs, and anybody who knows what a VPN is knows what he just said. And I think my podcast just got canceled. So fuck it. Go ahead. Go ahead and smoke, man. This might be the last one, bro.
Hey, you know what a VPN protects your privacy from your ISP trying to figure out what it is that you're trying to do. I don't want them to find out what news sites I go to. That's all it is. You read into it, whatever you want to read into it.
Here's what's crazy about the VPN is that it was a virtual private network, right? Mm-hmm. So you're not allowed to be on a VPN if you still want to go on Amazon, Hulu, or anything like that because they need to know your location. Like you're not allowed to even go on like the Amazon app or the website, or like if you have Amazon Prime on your Fire Stick, it doesn't let you watch anything unless you disable your VPN. Like that's so they don't allow you to be private.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It says it on the Fire Stick that you can't use a VPN properly. I mean, you can't use the Amazon Fire Stick and that's even viewing content. I mean, they say that it's better assist you on advertisements and what best suits your needs.
Right, based on your location and graphics and all that garbage. Yeah. But I mean, I get it, right? There's a big business in the black market for people that use it. They use a Fire Stick.
Yeah, we just had a podcast about that where VPNs in the dark web are the thing. So
right. So I mean, that's what it is. Don't worry, your podcast isn't getting canceled because we know how to use VPNs. You'll be all right.
We're good. All right, go ahead. Fights.
Yeah. So Aldo, I thought Aldo controlled that fight. I thought he won the first 2 and possibly the 3rd round. Moraes had a couple flurries that maybe might have stolen the 3rd round for him. That was about it. I thought that was Aldo's fight. What was after that? Durandamy and Nunez. If Durandamy just had any idea of what she was doing on the ground, just anything, it would have been over. Because that's Ben right there, like that. Anyway. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, man. If she had any idea what she was doing on the ground, if she had any takedown defense, that would have been her fight. Because standing up, Nunez, she didn't want any of that. None of it. I mean, she's a world-class kickboxer, and you could see it. She was trying to get her on the ground every chance she could. There were a couple scrambles where I think she had her in a triangle, and she just didn't know what to do with the position. And she was just kind of she didn't use her leverage, her body weight, nothing. She just kind of sat there and let Nunez recover, actually. Just kind of lay on her and recover and rest for about 30 seconds. Again, I think that's just her inexperience, not having any jiu-jitsu background. So, I mean, Nunez won that fight easily, but had Durandamy been able to do anything on the ground, it could have been a different story. I mean, Nunez is not as dominant as everyone thinks she is because you can see that standing up, there's someone that can stand up with her. But I don't know anyone else in that division that could, though. If Durandamy figures out a ground game, then it might be a different fight. 6 months from now, I don't think so. It's going to take her some time to actually get some experience. So,
yeah, and I don't think Amanda Nunes is going to be sticking around that much longer. Like, there's not much more for her to do.
Yeah, what else is she going to do?
She's beating everybody. The only fighter that's giving her issues standing the most is Valentina Shevchenko, which depending on who you ask, could possibly beat her twice. right? Like depending what judge and you know what I mean, like who watches that fight.
Yeah.
Like it's either 2-3, 3-2, either way. So yeah. So what was next? Oh, the Max Holloway. The Max Holloway.
Yeah, Max Holloway, man. Yo, he's 28 years old. He definitely has CTE. That dude needs to retire. I love Max. I've been watching him fight for years. I've seen his interviews. I think I caught one on ESPN where he was kind of slurring and but what's that dude? Was it Bisping called him out because he's like, "Hey man, are you all right? I can't hear you." He was slurring his words, and this was like 2-3 days before the fight, whatever it was. Max, during the fight, he didn't make any adjustments. He didn't land any serious strikes. He never put Volkanovski in any danger. Volkanovski was trying to destroy Max's legs, and Max just stood there. All he did was switch. He went from orthodox to unorthodox. That's all he did. Did like to southpaw, but that I don't know what his coaches were telling him. I don't know if he thought he was winning any of the rounds, if he thought it was close. As a spectator, it didn't seem close to me. It didn't seem like he made any adjustments. It didn't seem like he tried to win any rounds with any, in the last 10, 20, 30 seconds. In his reaction, like Steven said after the fight, that he thought he won. I'm not sure what he was thinking. It wasn't even close. So either he needs to figure out what he wants to do next. Maybe he needs some new people around him. Or maybe he needs to stop fighting because I am seriously concerned for that dude. Like he's taking a lot of punishment. He's been at the top for a long time, but he's taking a lot of punishment. I mean, dude, 28, you've done everything. What more do you have to prove?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then the Usman Covington.
Yeah. So
think of that one.
That was a good fight, man. It could have gone either way. If Usman hadn't dropped him in the 5th round, it could have gone either way. Someone had it 3-1. Which to me, that one's a little absurd. It could be 2-3, 3-2, one way or the other. Or, if they would have finished out the 5th round. But 3-1 after 4. I mean, maybe 3-1 to Usman. I just never thought Kobe really was dominating like that. But he never stopped coming forward. He tried to overwhelm Usman. He's athletic, so he tried to beat him with volume. But Usman just never left his game. He took some hard shots from Kobe, but never changed his game. He was more technical. He picked his spots. He hit him with some heavy body blows. I mean, a couple of them kind of bent him over. And I mean, it could have been ugly. Was it in the 2nd round when Usman got scratched in the eye, or he got poked in the eye? And fortunately, it wasn't that serious. He took a rest or whatever. But then Kobe comes back and turns back around. And he gets punched in the mouth, and then he fakes that he got poked in the eye too. Yeah. Do you remember seeing that? I mean, like I get that the dude's
that was the end of the same round.
Yeah, I get that he's a character, and it came out during fight week that this is just a character that he built. His career was about to be over. They're going to cut his contract, so he just took a page out of McGregor's playbook, and he said, "You know what? If he can do it, I can do it too." How McGregor did it, Nate Diaz started doing it recently because he saw that it worked. Jorge Masvidal realized, hey, I'm going to start baptizing people and giving them the 2 peas and a biscuit or 2 peas and a soda. Yeah. Hey, so that's. I mean, what more? How more polarizing can you be by wearing MAGA hats and just attracting that crowd, whether you like it or not? It got eyeballs, it got views, it got pay-per-views, and it put him on the map.
He met the
they got him a new contract. I don't like that character. Like Steven said, you can go about it doing it a different way. But I'd like to see them go at it again, run it back. Whenever his jaw, gets fixed, I'd like to see him run it back.
The 120-pound division is crazy right now, right? Because you got Jorge Masvidal that I think probably deserves the next title shot, because he gets the BMF title and he's the bigger name, he's the bigger draw.
Yeah.
But I could see them, Kobe, maybe taking some time. You might find, I don't know how long it takes to heal from a broken jaw, right? Never had my jaw broken. I'm sure it's extremely painful. Give him a lot of credit for fighting 2 additional rounds in that fight against the stronger puncher. So like I was telling you guys before I hit the live button and started kind of recording, I guess. So obviously you guys recapped it. I'm not gonna run it back because I agree with both what both of you guys said. But the Max Holloway thing was crazy because I agree. Like, I don't know how he thought he won that fight. He didn't make any adjustments. He got leg kicked to death. It reminded me. I know Steven knows because we've been watching. I don't know how long you've been watching UFC, John, but like it reminded me of like the Lyoto Machida Shogun Rule fight, where like Lyoto Machida just leg kicked him to death.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like he couldn't walk. Like his legs were just destroyed.
Yeah.
Volkanovski, and I like Volkanovski. Like I watched a couple of his fights, but I'm a big fan of that team because it has one of my favorite fighters now, Stylebender. I'm a big fan of Israel Adesanya, man. I know. Listen, I love the way when he fought Anderson Silva. I love how respectful he was. That's what made me a fan. And then his performance against Robert Whittaker was amazing. And I'm a Robert Whittaker fan. Like I don't with MMA as I've evolved in being a fan. Like I can like multiple fighters.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Even in the same division, like, I'm a big fan of Brian Ortega.
Yeah,
the 145. Brian Ortega beating Volkanovski. You know what I mean. So the Mexican Jesus, that guy's crazy. But
no.
You saw what Max did to him?
Oh, Max Holloway.
Yeah. Destroyed. He hasn't fought since. He was supposed to fight this Saturday against Korean Zombie, but he tore his ACL.
Shit.
What I want to talk about.
So
yeah,
I've always noticed in the years of watching UFC is that there's always this really strange. It's not strange. It's a transition of. It's almost like passing the torch, where you have your Shoguns and your Chuck Liddells and your Rashad. Well, not even Rashad Evans, and then you get into Rashad Evans, and he was leveling people, and then Rashad Evans became the old guy, and then he started getting leveled, and there's always just a new generation of cats, and that's the thing with Robert Whittaker to me and Max Holloway. You can't take anything away from the greatness that they've given, but you make way from people to just come into the sport new that have already watched what you've been doing, and they defend against what you do where you haven't defended against what they do. And, right. Just new eras. Like, the whole Israel Adesanya thing. It was respectful during the fight. He had a post-fight interview. I think it was with Ariel Helwani. And, he was just doing the run back. And he was like, oh, I got him here. Oh, he was nothing for me. It was nothing. And he was extremely disrespectful in the aspect of, you're talking about an old Anderson Silva who's most probably already retired and only takes in between fights. You know what I'm saying? Right. I feel like Anderson Silva came at a time where they weren't getting those giant paydays, and now he has to fight every once in a while to get some more money. Yeah. If a young Israel Adesanya would have fought a young Anderson Silva, I don't know how that fight would have ended up, but I know for a fact Israel had his face fucked up.
Yep.
Yeah, no, everybody knows how that. I mean, listen, man. Like, Anderson Silva is my favorite fighter of all time, and one of the best fight. Like his performances were legendary, man. Like I watched his first fight. Like his first fight was on a UFC fight night against Chris Lieben. I think it was like on a Tuesday night, bro. When he used to be back on Spike. That's how far back. Like, listen, we've been watching this shit since the red box. You know what I mean? The box with the red numbers. With the card that you put in to get additional channels. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this was pre-VPN. Like, when it was illegal and shit, fighters were wearing shoes. So we go back with this shit. And the thing that's crazy about it that I've noticed probably in the last 4 or 5 years is, I'm going to just elaborate on what you said. Like, I think a lot of times when a fighter becomes a champion, it becomes a totally different beast. Right? Like, because there's a difference between the hunter and the hunt, right? Like when everybody's chasing after you and you're this MMA champion and you have to do ESPN and Fox Sports and travel around the world, do all this media shit, you're not training, right? And Brendan Schaub, who I'm a fan of, brings that up a lot. Like, but Israel Adesanya or Alex Volkanovski, which are on the same team, they're in the gym. When you're doing a podcast or when you're doing commercials and when you're doing that, they're in the gym. Yep. You know what I mean? And chances are you're gonna have to fly back to wherever gym you're at because there's no media or anything in like Albuquerque where Jackson Wink is. There's not much, you know what I mean? And you're doing personal appearances and you're doing all that shit to make as much money as possible because these fighters still don't make that much money.
Yeah, I mean, and it's like Steven said. What? It's like Steven said, right? They
Yeah.
I can't keep us. All right.
Sorry.
No.
No.
Let me try again.
Yeah.
No, it's like you said. This newer generation, younger generation, they've seen what you can do. It doesn't make them better, but that's how the game, that's how the sport evolves, right? They've seen what you've been doing. You've been doing it for 5, 6, 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
They've learned how to defend against it, and then implement their own techniques. I mean, that's how things evolve. And so, at some point, either you adjust with that new generation, or you just kind of pass that torch, because there's enough tape of you out there where there's not enough tape of Volkanovski, even though he's been fighting, or some of these younger cats. And 3, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, there's going to be another crop of fighters that have been studying you and watching you fight and watching you fighting these big fights, that they know how to defend what you do, and they incorporate their technique, and it just continues to evolve.
Yeah,
I honestly think it happens faster than that. I don't think it takes 2, 3, 4 years. I think 6 to 12 months, you might have this beast that, like, at Adesanya 4 years ago, I didn't know who he was. No. You guys didn't. I never heard of him in my life.
I don't know who
he had. Like, he had like this one fight where it was kind of okay. He went to decision, and then it's kind of evolved. But let me jump back to what I want to talk about before was the whole Kamaru Usman, Kobe Covington fight. Like the week of, he finally ripped pulled the curtain back and was like, "Look, guys, this is all an act. Like, I'm just trying to get paid."
Yeah.
Yes, he could have gone about it a different way, because it brings the wrong kind of attention, right? Like Conor McGregor, I thought his last performances with Khabib, like bringing in family and bringing in Putin, I thought that was too much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I think you just talk shit about the fighter. I think you can own, like what he did to Eddie Alvarez. He never brought in his family, and he destroyed him mentally. He destroyed Aldo mentally. He never brought in his family. Didn't disrespect Brazil. Said I think the most thing he said was like, "I'll be the next king of Brazil." You know what I mean, or something stupid. So like all that other shit was beyond it. But like I got told, like anybody who knows me knows I watch like progressive media and all that shit. Like, and I see all that on the internet. Like, oh, MAGA fighter gets beaten up by an immigrant. These are people who you could tell don't really watch the UFC, don't really watch fighting. You know what I mean? Like, so they believe his act, which is a great compliment to Kobe Covington that he was able to sell it that way, right? Because it's not really it's not really a stretch to how people in that hat act, right? Like it's
true.
Just amplified to 11. It's just amplified to 11, and he has a microphone in his face all the time. So he sold himself great. He was about to get cut. I mean, the guy was undefeated, man. Like, I think he's set 18-2 now, or whatever.
Yeah,
17-2, something crazy like that, or 15-2. So the guy's an amazing fighter. Destroyed every fighter he's fought, but he was just boring, right? Like, because he would just George St. Pierre guys. He would wrestle him down, not really take any risk, and just push out a decision, and nobody really cared. So he was gonna get cut, right? So you know how you feel about GSP. No, GSP ain't coming to fight Usman. You don't want that. He don't want that.
No, fuck no.
No.
Because GSP would all fucking day. But
GSP would destroy him?
No, because you just get on top of him. This is my issue with the UFC now. Is that why have we turned into a wrestling type of entertainment? I think that we were doing just fine, and I don't think that you are getting 100 million other people to watch if you act like a fucking asshole on UFC. That's what separates the UFC from boxing, and that's what separates the UFC from WWE or whatever it is. First thing that you learn, and this is the difference, the first thing that you're going to learn when you do any mixed martial arts is that you take about 5-6 months to learn about respect. And to respect your opponent and kindness. I don't, Anderson Silva was a superstar. He never trash talked anybody. John Jones, also a superstar, didn't actually say anything until DC came about, and then he hated his fucking guts. But that was more of a personal thing. It wasn't the normal for you to have this persona per se. But that's why they got rid of fucking Mighty Mouse. And they fucking brought in Ben Askren's boring ass. But Ben Askren has a fucking mouth, and he gets beat up by everybody. I'm going. I do not like Jorge Masvidal. I think that he does a lot of fucking shit talking, and he has this typical like, Miami this, Miami, hey, what's up, bro? And I don't like that shit. It's annoying. It's annoying as shit. But I get it. If that's his persona, I'm glad. Even though I don't like Jorge Masvidal, I'm so glad he gave not a 2-piece and a soda, but he gave the whole fucking family meal to Ben Askren's face. Because to get rid of Mighty Mouse, somebody who was dominating, wasn't the most exciting, but if you want somebody exciting, go ahead and get somebody exciting to beat him. If you can't get somebody to beat him, hey, that's what you got, homie. Then you got Ben Askren, who's all this, and then gets knocked out in 3 seconds. I don't know about you, but I'd rather take a really good fighter who doesn't fight like a crazy fucking son of a bitch than over somebody who just talks shit and gets knocked out. I don't know about you, but Ben Askren's what, on his second straight loss? Or third?
Yeah, he's retired, right? Yeah.
You're done. That's it. Tell me, how was Mighty Mouse trade worth that? It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Because now...
No, but the reason why they traded him was because they were getting rid of that whole division, right? Like, there's no more flyweights fights that in the UFC. You have now Henry Cejudo. I'm not gonna call him the whatever the fuck he calls himself, because given Olympic champion, 125, 135.
Oh, we got Olympic gold medal. That ain't shit.
I still don't think he won that fight against Mighty Mouse. If you want to beat the champion, you gotta really beat the champion, and he didn't do that.
Yeah,
they were trying to push that dude out.
Yeah, he didn't. That's what that was. That was one of those. That was like a WWE script thing where they're gonna screw over the baby face. You know, yeah. That's what that was. It was. Yeah, I don't understand. They just didn't like him. He wasn't a draw. But now with the UFC being on ESPN, we don't even know who's a draw anymore, because they don't release their numbers because it's all digital media.
Right.
So now we don't know how much this fight made. It might be just us three and some other 10 other assholes that watch this shit, and 7 of them actually paid. You know what I mean? Like, let's just call it what it is. You know what I mean? I don't know how many people, because everything I've heard about it being on there, there's no buy now feature on ESPN Plus, right? You have to get on the website, log in through your account, put in it becomes this whole thing. Dude, that's too much. ESPN has too much money. You're Disney, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Just have a little buy now feature, and it'll be so much easier, and you'll actually deter a lot of links and streams and stuff like that, because you're gonna make it easier to do. Obviously, for some people, you're not. You know what I mean? There's people are gonna get around it, yada yada yada. But dude, I'm not gonna pay $65 for these fights, bro.
No,
it's just simple. It's not. I'll go to a bar, or you know what I mean. I'll find a way. When there's a will, there's a way. I'm not paying that much, because there's no fight, honestly, that's worth that. The Conor Cowboy fight that's coming up in a month now is exciting, right? But I'm not gonna pay $65 for it. I'll probably go to the ale house that they just opened up down the road, an hour away, because that's down the road for me. But I'm
gonna take my horse.
Yeah,
you know,
country road.
I think that when the fights were $45, that was something that was more acceptable. But now they're selling these fights for $60 for SD, $70 for HD. Why am I paying $10 more for HD? It's 2019. We all have the capabilities. You shouldn't be charging people more money. I mean, since we're still on the topic about UFC and fights, is any one of you guys even fucking remotely nervous about John Jones's next fight? Because I know he hasn't fought anybody that great, but I mean, he's a big dude.
That is a big dude.
I
saw his last fight.
Chris Weidman. I mean, Chris Weidman was first. That's what happens when a UFC fighter breaks your leg. You break their leg, and then you say you beat their ass. That's what happens. You get cursed, and Chris Weidman is out.
Yeah,
and he hasn't been the same since that fight, and then that Luke Rockhold fight. Neither of those two fighters have been the same since that Luke Rockhold fight.
Yeah,
where he did that weird back spinning knee thing. I don't know what he was trying. He got taken down and just destroyed. Hasn't been the same since. Yeah, dude. I think. Listen, that Dominic Reyes kid is. I mean, he's a former pro football player, right? I think he played 2 or 3 years in the league. listen, man. I'm gonna I'll probably look this up before I say it, but I'm sure Jonathan's typing it out. He's like, to be Hispanic and make it to the NFL, right? And to be there for like have a meal in the NFL. You've done something, bro. You're a hell of an athlete.
Yeah,
playing the NFL. So he's probably the best athlete John Jones has ever fought, right? And he's got power, and he's got fast twitch muscle.
Yep.
Like at some point, I honestly don't even know why John Jones is a 205er anymore. Like he should have moved up for me a long time ago. I was good with him because like after Dominic Reyes, who is there? Right, but then let's say by some miracle, right, or some shot, that Dominic Reyes hits him, knocks him out, right, or stuns him and finishes him. Then he's gonna go to heavyweight a little bit more tarnished, right? Because if he finishes Dominic Reyes, then he comes in the undisputed 205 champ, and then you might still have the Brock Lesnar fight, then you have the Stipe fight, then you have Francis Ngannou. There's more names there.
yeah.
Like, there's more money to be made at heavyweight. Like he's a big motherfucker to begin with. Like his brothers are big motherfuckers. They're two NFL players.
They're NFL players.
You know what I mean? They're two great defensive ends. Like, or I think one was like a linebacker or whatever, defensive end linebacker.
It's a shame though, right?
It's
a shame. Like John Jones essentially has thrown away 3 years of his prime.
Yeah.
3, maybe 4 years of his prime. It's gone. He's on the back end now, and we missed out on. We don't know what could have happened those 4 years.
Oh, he could have dominated everybody, and the problem with him is he did an interview about why he really wasn't interested in meeting people at heavyweight, and he said because, the fight, they're actually talking about Israel Adesanya and him, and that it's easier for Israel Adesanya to get to a 205 than it would be for him to go to a heavyweight. Because even at his best, let's say he gets to 235, you're still fighting guys who are, 60, 70? We're talking about huge, huge boys. And he knows, we all know, is that is the most irresponsible thing to do, is to have. If I was John Jones, I would never go to a place where people can weigh 40, 50, 60 pounds more than me. That's insane.
Naturally, they're just weighing.
Coming to fight John Jones, it's just not going to end well for him. And I think John knows that. I mean, John is great. I mean, every time that he beat DC, and that's another fight that I want to see. I want to see DC 3. 1, no steroids. Come on, man. Like, test them. Get the results immediately. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh,
you're always gonna get juiced. You're always gonna get juiced, Juice Jones. I'm sorry. He's
a favorite.
DNA, bro. Yeah, it's what he does. Like it's too many times now. Like it can't be. Oh man, it was the juice. Or I took this shake, and all of a sudden, no, it's too many times now. Like, take aside all the criminality and all that shit, right? Take away all his stupidity on Madden. Like, it's too many times failing a drug test for them to it be covered up to say, oh, it's just trace amounts. Okay, but if there's trace amounts, then at some point there was a higher amount to trace, right? Like, I feel like that's an easy question. That's an easy question to follow up. There's no trace amounts of steroids and anything Jonathan has. There's no trace amounts of anything, you know what I mean, of steroids that you have. No trace amounts on mine. Because I don't do steroids. You know what I mean? Like that's you have to have it in your body. At some point, you put it in your body.
Yeah.
Right.
So you know what I mean? That's it. And those DC fights were great, you know what I mean, because of the animosity in the fight. But in the fight, it wasn't competitive. Like they punched each other in the face, but then what? You know what I mean? Like if you go back and watch that first one, it was actually closer than I originally thought. But it's still 3-2 Jones.
Yeah,
you could put it for 1. You know what I mean?
I don't want to contribute steroids on John Jones's part to that nasty ass head kick that he threw on the second fight.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's still not fair. Whether it was a picogram or pictogram or whatever, it was small. John Jones' only defeat in the octagon was against himself. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
John Jones, the only person who beat himself. That's how great he is.
And he didn't need any of that shit. You know what I mean?
No.
I don't think he did. He took it to get bigger and stronger because he came back and the dude had been deadlifting pickup trucks or something. I mean, he was
Chicken legs.
noticeably bigger.
I come from a family of chicken legs. Not saying that I have chicken legs. I have great calves. You can ask the man chatter right there. I have calves of an ox, but my whole family has chicken legs, and I let them kick me all fucking.
That's right. Where's Carlos at? That's the king of chicken legs. That's the never did leg day ever.
Let me stop talking shit because my dad also has chicken legs. I love you, Papa.
Yeah, my uncle. Yeah, John. My uncle has the worst chicken legs in the whole family. Like besides the women in my family, my uncle has the worst chicken legs.
Yeah,
bro. Carlos was a terrible offender, man. I remember playing ball with him.
Dude,
I hope he's listening. I hope he watches.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But yeah. So with John Jones, man, like you said, Jonathan, it's a lost cause because in a way it's a lost cause because we're never gonna really see him at his best, right?
Yeah.
And I don't like I want to say like 5-6 years ago, I used to get hyped to see John Jones.
Yeah.
Now I don't. Like I can't remember the last time. I haven't seen his last. I can't remember the last fight I saw him fight, bro. Like honestly, where I'm like, man, I gotta watch this fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, specifically the day that it came back that he I don't know if it was after the DC2 fight, but it came back, or that it was supposed to be, and then he got clipped, and then DC got really mad. I know you've seen that clip where Dana White,
yep.
and he's super pissed. I remember being on my way to the bar to go watch the fight, and you said to me, Steven, I love this man, but I've given him too many chances. I can't do this anymore. Mm-hmm. And
yep.
I mean, that was a while ago. So I mean, I feel you. It almost gets like, oh, John Jones is fighting. Hopefully he doesn't pop back for steroids. And I mean, that shit sucks because he's amazing and he's like one of my favorite fighters of all time, but he fucks himself up. He really does.
Yeah, hopefully, I think that's around the same time when I kind of lost the interest, right? About 5 or 6 years ago, where you would get hyped. He was 26, 27 years old, and you're like, man, this dude is about to hit his prime. He's been destroying people, and he hasn't even entered his prime yet. And you're looking forward to what he's about to do, and then he decides to hit like pregnant women and leave the car or leave the scene, and he starts popping hot. Like it was this incident after right. It was like the Tiger Woods effect. It was just an incident after incident after incident, and you're like, this dude is just never coming back. Like Tiger Woods just lost a decade of his prime. Same thing happened with John Jones. I'm like,
that's actually a great.
Santos.
What's that?
Thiago Santos was the last fight that John Jones had, and it was nerve-wrackingly close.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because Thiago broke his ankle or something like that, or he destroyed his ACL.
But I think that's John Jones looked like he kind of took it easy on him because I think he realized he was hurt, and he didn't really come after him. I thought he was going to, and he looked like he kind of laid off, and they finished off the fight. But had it not been for that, yeah, I think he planned it, and you saw his knee twist, and he fucked his ACL up.
Yeah. I think what happened. I think what happened, because I watched like the highlights or the recap of it, and you kind of just see John Jones kind of bored, man. To me, like I think he doesn't have the challenges. He knows he can coast. I mean, this is the guy that did probably kilos of coke before he fought Alexander Gustafsson. And still, and never, you know what I mean, and never trained.
Yeah,
so that's just kind of been his thing. And we spent 40 minutes on this shit. All right, guys, let's switch it up.
Out.
Yeah, UFC talk is over right there. All right, man. So I don't know if you guys know this. Obviously, you do. I'm being facetious, But it's 2019, man. We're about to, in less than 2 weeks, we're heading into another fucking decade. What kind of bitches? Yeah. All disrespect, all offense. What can you bitches remember from this past decade? And where were you guys 10 years ago to where you are now? And is this where you guys thought you were gonna be? John, what you?
10 years ago, man, I was recruiting in South Carolina. I was a lowly E6. No, yeah, that's what, 2009, around this time, I had just started recruiting, actually, in North Carolina. And then I went over to South Carolina. And I was like, all right, I got to do this recruiting bullshit. I got about 2 years left. I'm going to put in my OCS packet, go officer. I'm staying in the Army for another 20 years. I was going to make a 30-year career out of it for sure. For sure. I was like, this Army thing is too easy. Oh, I got to deploy. Okay, it sucks. I got to be away from family. But I was like, man, I loved it, right? Like, basic training was the best time of my life. People are out there running and crying their eyes off, and the drill sergeant is talking shit to them, and I'm out there running and talking shit to the drill sergeant, and then they would smoke the shit out of me afterwards for talking shit to them during the runs. But I loved it, man. And then I took that to my duty stations, and man, now I'm not in the Army anymore. Life changes. But I was 25. I was a year into my marriage. So, I've been with my wife since 2005. So, we had been together for a few years, for 3 years before we got married.
Yep.
Javi, who's 11 years old, and he reminds me right now that he's going to be taller than me, was a year and a half. He was about this big, about how tall I was back then. Yeah, man, it's just crazy. I just purchased my first house. I had just gotten back from Korea. My oldest son was 9 years old at the time, and 10 years later, I got a college sophomore, a sixth grader. I'm living in Cleveland, Ohio, for fuck's sake. But
why Cleveland, bro? I don't know if we've ever. I think we've talked about it,
but not live, right? We talked about it privately.
Because LeBron,
not live.
Because LeBron was here, and then he broke my heart. Right. LeBron, you know what? LeBron, his hair plugs broke my heart.
Oh yes, yeah. The hair plugs, son. The hair plugs.
No, man. After 2000.
Have you seen a picture of his hair plugs? Sorry, I gotta jump in.
Yeah.
Have you seen a picture of his hair plugs?
No, I didn't know that he had hair plugs. I thought Jesus Christ blessed her.
Please do yourself a favor right now. Googling images of LeBron James's hairline. As Jonathan continues to recap the last 10 years, because we're heading into another fucking decade. We're all, what is it, 84? You're 84, right, John?
83. I'm a grandfather of the millennials.
I'm 33.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, so you're 80. You're 1986.
86.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy. So for me, where was I 10 years ago? I was debating whether to go to college because I was already 2 years out of the military. I was debating whether to go to college, trying to figure that out.
Let me finish or what?
He didn't even finish. That's so disrespectful.
Oh my bad. Yeah, you were talking about your son being taller than you, and
I know that you're ready to talk about your barber and your fades and all that shit.
You two were Baby Yoda. Go ahead.
Disrespectful. This Morning Chatter podcast is fucking disrespectful.
Yes.
All right. No, but we'll recap 10 years, right? I was recruiting in South Carolina, and between then and now, I left South Carolina. I went to California for a while, Washington State, deployed from there, was in Afghanistan, and eventually I landed in Tennessee, and I got out of the Army in 2015. So,
yep.
You talking about what brought me to Cleveland? I was looking for what am I going to do with my life, right? I had to get out. Because I came home one day and I told my oldest son, hey, I might be going to Iraq in 6 months. And he was a freshman or sophomore at that time. And he goes, oh, you're gonna leave again. And so at that time, I was like, it's a wrap. Like, I'm done. You know, I realized I got my college degree, I got experience working in finance and all this stuff. I'm gonna get out and try to make it work. I thought I was as prepared as I could be. I mean, I knew the economy wasn't the best, but it wasn't as bad as it was in like 2008 and 9 and shit when I was thinking about getting out the first time. And
Right.
pursued work in like I looked at the private sector, I looked at the federal public sector because I was in the service for so long. I could take that time and apply to a retirement and a pension. And there were some opportunities, right? There was one in like California, which would have been nice, except it was in like Barstow in the desert in the middle of nowhere with Tyrese and the rest of the Fast and the Furious Part 1 gang. And I wasn't about to do that. And the other one was here in Cleveland, man. And we came out here, you know, 2016 was when I started. And I was supposed to start actually in like May or June, but my day got pushed back because they were having the Republican National Convention of all things over here. But yeah, man, that's what brought me over here. Like, just, you know, you never know where life's gonna take you. And I remember, I'm never gonna forget this. I remember one time saying, when I was in Miami, I was at the Cleveland there, and I was like, the only thing in the world that's worth anything with the name Cleveland in it is this bar, the Clevelander. And I was out, and now here I am. I've been living in Cleveland for 3.5 years, and I am definitely getting a taste of my own medicine. And not only that, I come here, and then LeBron's old ass with his fucking hair plugs decides to leave. I talk shit to Cleveland fans all the time. I went to Cavs games because it was fun to watch and shit. But I was always shit talking Cleveland fans, always. They didn't understand why. I was like, look, dude, I get it. Like, you live in Cleveland. All you got is LeBron. Yep. Like, the Browns aren't going to do shit for you. You know, you want to cheer for Ohio State, even though it's 2 hours from you, go be my guest. But I mean, they just didn't get it. They're like, wait, you're not a Cleveland fan? No. But yeah, man, I'm here. We're about to enter the 2020s. 36. The wiser, older grandfather of the millennial.
Whoa. Well, let's settle down there.
He went to college, Ben.
You're the older, yes, but wiser. Let's
wiser,
simmer down there, sir.
Older, experienced, level-headed.
No.
I can keep going.
No. I disagree with all of that.
Sometimes ashamed to say that I'm also a millennial.
Are you gonna tell Steven about your baristas experience?
Man, we'll leave that for the end. You can just close up on me for about 45 minutes, and we'll talk about these millennial baristas, and you can hear all about it.
Millennial,
the shit out of them.
You know, yeah. Don't get me started.
Yeah, man. That's me, man. I'm here. I'm in Cleveland, and we'll see what the next 10 years. Yeah, we'll see. The next LeBron.
The podcast.
And now I'm the co-host of the man. That's like the lowest point in my life right now.
This is at the bottom. This is it.
The lowest point is the co-host. Imagine being a guest. That's it.
Your life's over, man. It's only downhill from here.
I got paid $50 to do this, and since it was Christmas time, I couldn't say no.
You're getting paid for this shit?
It's a special guest. That's all. That's what I requested. Special guest.
Man. Hey, no, actually, you know what? It can only get better for you then. It can't get any worse.
I can't wait till this. No, because then
next you take over my spot, and then, you know.
After you quit, he's going to
I'm going to try to make sure to spell your name right. It's Diaz, right? Diaz?
Diaz, not Diaz.
Not Diaz. All right.
Diaz.
Figure it out. Make sure my conservative and Caucasian friends are comfortable with Diaz.
Yes. It's just Spanish for gays.
10 years, bro.
10 years. Oh shit. 10 years, bro.
You before you start going, I just realized you guys have a similar story. Like, you guys have, you know what I mean, adopt, like, raise your kid or your first kid, and you know what I mean. You guys are actually, like, I give you guys a lot of shit, right? Like, this is my genuine moment for this decade, right? Like, I give you guys a lot of shit, man, but I'm proud of you motherfuckers, man. Like, I consider both of you, obviously, Steven, you're actually family.
For better or worse.
Use family like a cousin.
Yeah, right. You're like actually related to me. Like I raised you, I changed your diet and shit. You know what I mean? So, and John, I've known you for over 20 years. So
Yeah.
I'm part of the guys. I'm part of the men you guys have become, man. Like we are the millennials. They'll never talk about. We're all successful. We're all homeowners. We all provide for our families, and that's a big deal, man. We're the forgotten ones that they never talk about because they make us all seem like we're fucking lazy ass baristas.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And we're not fucking. We're not that, you fucks.
No.
Sorry. Okay, boomer. So go ahead, Steve.
Okay, boomer. I'm just gonna start off by saying 10 years ago, my life was a lot less stressful. Back then, I had. Damn, bro, can you bring a bigger bottle of water?
That shit doesn't fit in the screen.
Why don't you? Lucky son of a bitch. I'd pay any money to have Zuffer Hills. Yeah, I had 10 years ago, I had one kid. If I go exactly to the day, I was 2 weeks away, actually, 11 days away from having my first natural born child. My wife was pregnant. We had just gotten married that year, 2010, in April. And later on that year, Kingston was born, who's actually 9 right now. God, obviously I lived in Miami. I was a paralegal. I worked at law firms, personal injury, intellectual property, copyright, bankruptcy, foreclosures, anything you can think of. It's what I did. It's crazy that you say that John and I have a similar story, John without an H. We have a similar story because when I moved here 4 years ago, I live in a small town called Canton. It's about 45 minutes north of Atlanta, and I worked at a firm here, which ended up being some weirdo Scientology run law firm. Super strange. But my oldest said to me, you know what I don't like about your job? And I told him, what's that? And he says that you're never home. And as a man, you don't really get hurt by a lot of things, but the dagger that your children will stab through your heart repeatedly, this is a warning for you, man chatter. They will drive a dagger into your heart of wanting you to be around more. So now I am a server and a bartender, and I'm off 3-4 days a week, and I work 6 hours on the days that I do work, and I work nights only. So I always go to field trips. I always go to meetings. Anytime that they need something, I go to these things, and life is just better that way. I mean, was I making more working in the law sector? Absolutely. But, I mean, what's money really worth if you don't have any money to, you don't enjoy anything with your children? So what's even the point?
Right.
It's not really worth it at all. 10 years ago, I had a full head of hair. God, that was amazing. That's something that I could be most grateful about. I didn't have to shave my head every week to hide the shame and the embarrassment of losing my hair. That's a major plus. 10 years ago, I had a beautiful head of hair. My body wasn't as nice as it is now, but I mean, you can't have it all. Most importantly, 2019, I bought my first house ever. Living here 4 years, bought my first house ever. Bought not one but 2 new cars for the first time in my entire life. It only gets better. It only gets better. I mean, if I would have known 10 years ago what I know now, I'd be way ahead of the game. To all the young listeners, the millennials out there, you may not think it's important, but get your credit right, because they wouldn't even give you a loan to buy a pack of Twizzlers if you don't get that shit straight. So,
yeah.
That being said, I mean, really the only... Oh, God, I forgot about the baby. 2018, January 12th, I had a third child. The beginning of the decade, I went from one child 1 on the way to a full-blown 3, and he's going to be 2 on the 12th of January. And boy, I tell you, this Christmases are getting expensive. That's it. Just growing.
Yeah, man. Here's the key to Christmas.
Don't even get
your last.
You see, Ben,
your last child. Clearly, your favorite child, right?
Yes.
Your third child is your favorite child.
He's the most handsome. So I mean, I just can't help it. He's the most handsome, and I'm a shallow father. What can I say? I am a scumbag of a dad, and I only base my love on my children on their looks. That's it.
Hey, you got to base it on something, though, right?
I mean,
at least that's something tangible.
Look at
that, man.
That is him.
Well, he doesn't look like Ben, so that's...
Yeah.
Yo, Ben's got a face that only a mother can love.
Yeah, you're telling me. She is not the only person who loves him.
I don't know how he put a T-shirt over that big ass head of his.
We already had this.
That's why my shirts are V-necks.
They cut the whole collar up to the chest, and then they just put it on.
This is actually a crew neck shirt. It just looks like a turtle.
It's an actual crew top. It's an actual crew top from the top, and then the bottom is the rest of the shirt.
It's very weird. That's why I can't stand up and only shoot myself from chest up, because this is all stomach down here. This is it. This is all we got. Hey, Steve, remember that story you told when we were in Panama? How I was born? Yo, tell Jonathan that story, man. That shit is so stupid.
This story.
Listen to the story of my birth, and then I'll get into my 10-year recap.
I'll do this on the podcast. Damn.
Yeah.
How long has it been since we've been to Panama?
I don't know, but you just got darker.
Oh.
Yeah, back up. Yeah.
Back up.
You just went black.
You're about to ask for a ransom, man. That's all I'm saying.
There it is.
Just
That's better.
Ben, if I turn more black. I just don't want you to see the hole in my beard.
You're good, bro.
All right, John, I got one for you. The way Ben was born, all right? And the story behind his great legacy. All right? So, my aunt, Katia, the Chancleta Queen, was in Panama. Upset with everybody, just needed a break. She decided to climb the many hills of Boquete, Panama. She saw a plume of smoke coming from one of the top of the mountains. So she was like, something happened here. So she climbs up this not so giant mountain, but she climbs it up nonetheless. And she finds an actual gorilla giving birth out of her anus. And out, and she thought it was the most beautiful thing that she had ever seen. And out from this anus, it was just a gruesome sight. She says it was a gruesome sight that Ben's head came out of her and killed her. The head was so large that she could no longer take it, I guess. I don't know. It's just shocking to hear this. But the gorilla died from the amount of blood loss that it took to release Ben, his head alone. The gorilla passes out. Ben comes out. Ben eats his mother. Ben eats his mother gorilla. It was insane. My aunt said, you know, the thing about my aunt, and I'm pretty sure you know her. You've known Ben 20 years. My aunt is a goddess. There's not a single woman in this world that has a heart like her. She looks at this boy, eat his biological mother, builds a knapsack, pick Ben up, and starts to walk down the mountain. Let me tell you something. This woman deserves a medal because she fucked her back up. Her whole back after carrying him in a burlap sack down the mountain. She went home. She said, listen, I know I've been gone for a little bit, but this is my son. His name is Benjamin. And this is how we have the black gorilla, Benjamin Borges.
Yeah.
That is the story.
On my birth.
That was his birth.
That was my birth.
My aunt's
First of all, that's a new version of it. I ate my gorilla mother.
I changed it every time. I changed it every time.
That was my first meal. Like I ate my.
You needed sustenance, and it was crazy. Something. He ate a full-grown female gorilla and was hungry again in an hour and 12 minutes.
I ate my gorilla mother, bro. You son of a bitch.
I went to Panama with
so you guys
here, and this man went to the grocery store and didn't pick up not one, not two, not three, not four, but 800-gram chocolate bars because he was mad if he didn't have them. This man has an appetite gorilla.
Yeah, I'm a gorilla. That's fucking right. My 10-year recap, seeing as you guys just got my origin story on this podcast. Episode 89, you got the story of how I was born. You son of a bitch. Damn, where was I 10 years ago? 10 years ago, I was in college. No, was I? No, yeah, I was just trying to figure shit out. Got taken on my boy Danny, who you got. I don't know, Jonathan, you don't know him. Obviously, my boy Danny actually. Yeah, my boy Danny Brooklyn picked me up at my house and took me. Yeah, he's got 2 kids now too. That's funny. Like, everybody's got kids.
I said shout out to Renata and his shoe game.
Yeah, those are the best. He has the best sneaker game out of anybody I know. Jonathan doesn't know anything about that. He still wears like Crocs and shit.
Listen, don't confuse me with my brother, who happens to look a whole lot like Steven. Don't put that shit on me.
Don't you put that?
Yo, Eric does look like Steven, bro.
I'm talking about Chris. Hell, they both do.
I don't know what
hey, Steven, you know Chris. That you guys went to school together.
Chris who?
Christopher Braganza.
Another paralegal. You both worked together, and he just didn't want to leave Miami.
Yeah, you know him. If you guys had the same friends in high school, but this is like again 20 years ago. But let me see. Went to school, got my radiology license, then moved up to St. Pete because I couldn't find shit in Miami. We all left Miami because, like, it's weird, right? Like, we all talk about Miami, but it's like the place that made us, and then there's no other place that compares to it. But it's also a place where, like, I would never want to go back to. Like, especially, and I still live in Florida. I'm the only one out of us 3 that still lives in Florida.
Right.
In the smallest town, like, there's 2,000 people in my town, 12,000 when the snowbirds come down. But when I head down to Florida, to South Florida, like Fort Lauderdale and Miami, like, you literally feel the stress and the anxiety of being down there again. Like, bro, I never realized
up there.
Yeah, I loved going up there. I wouldn't change my child going up there, playing out in the street with you guys running around being stupid and crazy and all that shit. I wouldn't give up the clubs that I went to, none of that stuff. The experiences, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, it's not just that, man. Look, Miami teaches you about hustle, about how people are out there to get it for themselves. And unfortunately, some people that grow up in small towns or smaller cities, they don't see that. You see that shit every day in Miami. Everything's a hustle. Everyone's out for themselves. That doesn't mean you have to be that way, but it teaches you to look out for that shit and not let other people get one over on you. So would I go back? I'll go back if I'm worth $5 to $8 million and I can pay to send my kid to Belen or Christian or any of these private schools that cost $30,000 a year. Like, that's it. And even though I went to public school and 4,500 kids in that high school that was built for 2,200, that's the only way I go back, man.
Talking to you, Miami Springs.
Yeah, we all went to
Springs.
Yeah, we all went to Springs.
What kind of school had 2 different sections, morning shift and afternoon shift?
Wikipedia that shit. It was the most overpopulated school in the country at one point in time. I think when we were there, I graduated in 2001. You were probably 2002. So
I got kicked out. I got kicked out in 2002.
05, that's when Chris graduated. So that's how I know you know Chris.
You guys know Chris. They called me I told you guys the story how I got kicked out. They called me at home and they said I've been withdrawn. Don't even bother showing up. Because I was already 18. I was skipping like crazy. I didn't care. I remember, and it was 6,500 kids, Jonathan. It wasn't 4,500. It was
47 or 48 when I was there, and I'm sure it was more in 2002.
So I remember I remember the teachers wore T-shirts that said "I survived 6,500 kids,"
Oh,
like the
damn.
last 2 or 3 days of school when they did split shift. So it was 3,000 students in the morning and the afternoon because they closed. Was it HML or Hialeah High? Like one of those neighboring high schools. So all those kids overcrowded to Hialeah High. For some reason, the smallest school, which was Miami Springs, took the bulk of it. Don't understand why. It was ridiculous and it was insane. But I wanted to ask you guys something because you brought up, John, you just brought up a really good point about Miami. Like, this might just be, and I'm gonna preface this trying to sound a little bit serious by saying this might just be my Miami bias, right? But do you guys feel like since we're from Miami, we're in that hustle, like sometimes we're the hardest workers in the room?
All day. It's not that we think, it's that we are. Because our mindset is, if I'm not going to do the best, somebody else is going to come and take my job.
Yep.
My job, nobody's doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, for me it's the same thing, right? I think it's multiplied because for me, I immigrated when I was about 6-7 years old, right? So technically, I mean, I grew up in the States. I wasn't born here, but I came here young enough yet old enough to know that I wasn't of of this place. Grew up in Miami, so saw everyone hustling, saw everyone trying to get one over on each other. And then I got short man complex, man. It's like all that stuff combined, like I got this thing that like I just gotta prove people wrong. And I go into rooms that I know I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I know that going in, and I let the smartest person talk, and I let them do their thing, and some people just like to hear themselves talk, and that's good. But at the end of the day, I'm just gonna get my hustle on, and it's worked out for me. Like sometimes you're gonna be like Jorge Masvidal and just be like you're just gonna talk shit, right? You're just gonna talk. You can't just be quiet and be meek and then not. And then expect, because if you don't speak, what do they say? Closed mouths don't get fed. You got to speak up. You can't let people take credit for your work. Do all that shit. And I think part of it was growing up in Miami, that culture, being an immigrant, being short for sure. I had something to prove. I had something to prove in high school. I had something to prove when I went to the army, and then when I left and I came to work for this agency, I'm always trying to prove something. Whether I have to or not, I'm in my mind, I feel like I'm always trying to prove something because it could get snatched from me, or someone's right there waiting to jump in and take my spot. Yeah,
it's that eat or be eaten. You know what I mean? Because we're immigrants surrounded by a city of immigrants that we're all starving and we can't have enough, right? And regardless of like I said earlier, like all three of us are successful providers. We you know what I mean? We've made it, right? Like we are the American dream in that aspect of it. But that feeling of like never enough and I'm gonna outwork every motherfucker in here, it's in our DNA. It's embedded in who we are because of Miami. Like Miami gets all shitted on because it is an immigrant town. English is a second language. And all this, you know what I mean? And all this other shit. But there's, to me, right, besides maybe New York, which I'm assuming, I don't know, I've never spent that much time. But Miami, because it has that deeper immigrant mentality, like, I don't think there's anything like it. Like, I came to the States when I was 5 in 1989 after the U.S. invaded Panama. So I already had a mentality like, yo, I'm going to have to get this shit, whatever the fuck it is, because I never want to be in a position where I'm on the other end. Like that's just not happening again. And it's like this appetite where it doesn't get fed. I don't know where the food sustenance comes from, but I'm gonna keep fighting until I feel that shit. You know what I mean? Until I feed it, and I'm gonna just keep working my ass off. Like when I'm on my job, I approach it with an ego that might be ridiculous. You know what I mean? But it's never an ego where I'm gonna overwhelm you, like I'm better than you, but like when things happen and it doesn't work the way I think it should, I'm gonna work harder to understand it. I'm gonna approach it with confidence. It's some I don't want to say swag because that's not what it is, but it's a confidence and it's a hunger and it's a need to prove myself. You know what I mean? For all those things, because I have been that kid in elementary school that couldn't speak English. You know what I mean? And other kids made fun of you. So like being that outsider, that childhood shit is real, man. Like
They made fun
You
of
keep wanting to fight that kid. Like you keep wanting to fight that kid that made fun of you. Like, and then just fighting all that shit you used to hear.
For sure.
Like,
I mean,
John, yeah,
that's one of the
I
things.
know I get you, John, but you're not really that short, right? Like you look short because the camera's pointed terribly, but you're not in a booster seat. You know what I mean?
No, dude, no. I'm using a phone book. Only half of one, really.
What's that?
Exactly. You know how hard it was for me to find one of those fucking things?
I feel like they made fun of you when you were younger, not because of the language barrier, but definitely because of the size of your head. I'm just gonna say,
too.
You know,
Yeah,
John,
that's
a true story about how I really came in connection with Ben. I was in 8th grade, and I moved from Carroll City. My parents were getting a divorce, and I moved from Carroll City to Miami Springs. Imagine the culture shock on that shit.
Yeah.
Like, yo, why are people not killing each other over here? But that's aside the point. I got to stay with my boy Ben down here, and as poor as I was, Ben looked me dead in my eye, dead in my Caucasian, light-skinned, small, 5 foot tall, 120-pound face, and said, "Primo, it's gonna be okay. Here are some jeans for you to have. They're my old jeans and my hand-me-downs. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you have known Ben. If you've known Ben your entire life, you knew that Ben was born wearing size 12 jeans. Not 2T, not 12 months, not 6 months, not a size 8, 10. No, he wore 12 jeans at birth. So when I was 12, 13 years old, he gave me size 30s. There wasn't a belt big enough for me to wrap around my damn waist. I had to get a little rope and tie it in. People used to be like, "Damn, bro, where you get those pants from?" That.
You get them Jenkos.
Yeah, that's true.
And then Jenkos hit. In the clear. I was in the clear. I had Benjos.
For real though. For real.
Yo, shout out to my dad for being broke as hell and poor as hell and having to go through a whole lot of shit and then coming out on top of that.
For real though. Your dad. Yeah. Your dad is something else, man. Coming from nothing. From nothing. Man, it's crazy. Dude, like, it's
bam.
It's crazy recapping the last like 10 years and then you can't help but like reminisce on the last 30 plus.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's so crazy like where we've all come from and where we're at and where we're going. You know what I mean? Like it's been amazing, man. And like to be able to be in contact with friends and family, you know what I mean? The way we have been, like obviously you don't stay in contact with every friend and every family. That's just not just life, and you know people come and go. But to have those connections and to see people you've known your entire life succeed and make it, and now head into an entirely new decade, which I'm still pissed about that we don't have flying cars, but we'll save that for another podcast. I'm like the Jetsons lied to us, son. Like the Jetsons lied. That's all I'm saying.
Elon finally got my hopes up.
We got a Tesla though.
With that Cybertruck. That's what I thought cars would look like 20 years ago. Yeah. It's about time.
I don't believe that Cybertruck is ever going to actually be on the road. I think that's like a concept car.
I don't
think we're ever actually. I think it's like 2022, like the earliest we might see it.
Late 2021.
Right, it's just like, it's just like a body on top of the chassis of a Tesla that they have now. So who knows what, you know what I mean? So right now it's just a concept, but
I'm gonna get one and run over your damn Ram.
I'm gonna get one. Just get one.
I don't think anyone was. You know what's crazy about this? I learned this on the Rogan podcast, right? And then we'll start winding it down here. Is that you have to pay like a deposit, right? Where you give Tesla $100 to like reserve it. But then like you could use that $100 for like towards the price of it, but there's no set price of how much it's gonna be. So I don't know how that's gonna.
Yo, man, look at dollars.
No, I ain't got it, brother. I got bills and shit. I got a mortgage. This shit's about to go up because the city commissioners just upped our taxes 26% in 1 year. So that's a lot of fun.
Jesus, you mean the town butcher who is also the town mayor, who is also the town doctor,
who's also the town electrician and the town plumber. Yeah, they upped it because the villages the villages, the retirement community that is next to us. They're the fastest growing community in the country, and they're expanding too quickly, right? So they need bigger roads, more houses, and all that shit. And we kind of fall under them. So they've just bulldozed everything. Like, Steven, when you were here and you saw all those trees when you were leaving, all that shit's gone, bro. Like, all that is houses, all of it. Dude, like, before you know it, my backyard where all those acres and shit, all that's gonna be gone.
But don't you own that?
Yeah, you own that, don't you?
I own my 5 acres, but not the 1,800 behind me.
Oh shit.
Well, stop being greedy. I like 0.12 of an acre. Shit.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good with mine. Oh man, Jonathan, you wanna end this? Because I think the only right way to end this is with your barista story.
Did you recap your 10 years?
I think that was good, man. Yeah,
55 minutes.
That was good. I've done 90 podcasts. These motherfuckers know where I'm from. Like, they know the story. I've done a bunch of these by myself. Like, if they haven't, they could go back to episode 1. I'm sure I said some shit on there.
Yo, but
another decade.
Didn't you want to talk about your worst and best Christmas present of all time? Since it is the special.
It is a Christmas special podcast. You know what? Good point. I'll give you one right now. My aunt. I won't say which one. There's one. My aunt. When I was like 7, she got me church socks. Oh, that was it. That was like the whole gift. She didn't even like wrap it. It still had like, remember the like little hook, the little hook on it that like separates the socks. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Bitch, I can't get a Dollar General toy. Like, you could get like the whole bag of like the little soldier men for like 98 cents. She got me church socks, and the best gift I ever got, I'll be honest, man, I got last year. My brother bought me a PS4.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
And then you would invite me, that shady bastard.
Yeah, he got me that shit, and then like that meant a lot. Like, anything from my brother, y'all know it's a soft spot. Anything from my brother means the world to me, man. So my brother got me that, and he totally surprised me because I was like bitching to him. I was like, bro, I can't fucking find this shit. Da 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 da. And he kept calling me every day. He's like, hey man, did you get anything today? I go, no. And he just hang up. Like, he wouldn't even say shit else. My name in Germany. And he would like, no, all right, man. He wouldn't say bye. He just hang up. Like, I call him back, he wouldn't answer. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
That sounds like something Pastor. That's my level. That's my level 3 homeboy.
Yeah, level 3 waterfall climbs. And then calling me, and then I opened it because, you know, I don't know how he bought it. And I opened it because it comes in like this nondescript box until you open it and you see it. And it's like, it was like the PS4 Spider-Man edition, right? So it came with like the Spider-Man game, which was it's crazy. I was like, bro, like the fact that he spent that level of money on me, like that meant the world to me, man. You know, my brother's my best friend, man. I love that motherfucker. Can't stand him, but I love him.
Love y'all.
You gonna start crying? Come on, keep it together.
Keep it.
I defend that boy from. Where's my PS4?
What about you, Steve? Worst and best gift?
Oh shit! This is gonna be an easy one because the worst gift that I've ever received was also from an aunt, not the same one as yours though. She's never got me shit. It's hard to explain. It was like a fake ass glitter lava lamp. That was, and you could tell that it was sold. It was like yay big, like
a dollar store lava lamp.
Yeah, it was like from Walgreens. That you could tell like it was a $9.99 lava lamp that you turn the shit on, and then the glitter would just start spinning around. And I remember going, "What the fuck is? What am I gonna do with this? I don't even have my own room here. How am I gonna put this lava lamp up?" I had to put it in the kitchen and shit, and then when I was done using it, I had to take it back inside my book bag. And I take it to the bathroom, I plug it in, it sucked. It was horse shit.
That's funny.
That I remember because everybody bought her kids. See, she had 2 kids, and everybody bought her 2 kids some dope shit. And then she came and brought us. It was me, my brother, my sister, and 3 other cousins. She bought her shit from Walgreens on the way over. Walgreens was open on Christmas back then, and she just went, "Oh, let me spend $60 on these damn kids," and this whoop and shit.
Wrapped it right there.
Wrapped there all in bags and shit, just pointless shit. Yeah, that was the worst gift.
Probably Eckerd's back.
Eckerd's back.
Oh, shit, Eckerd's.
Fucking Eckerd's. Yeah, and the best gift I would say that I've ever gotten for Christmas, it's a two-part, and technically the same thing. What year did the Miami Heat win the championship? The second year.
Which one? They got
Second year.
13? 2012?
11, 12, 12, 13?
12, 13.
Yeah, 11,
So,
12, 13.
best gift I ever got for that Christmas, Heidi bought me, Heidi's my wife, by the way. Ben would know that.
Yep.
She bought me the Miami Heat Dwayne Wade championship jersey. She originally bought the LeBron James one and heard me say in conversation, as she already had ordered it, that I didn't like LeBron because he was a little bitch and he would leave Miami as soon as he got his championships, and that he would probably just leave us high and dry. Sure enough, she returned it. Of course, she knew that I love Dwayne Wade, so she got the Dwayne Wade jersey. And then last Christmas, she got me the all-black Miami Vice Heat jersey, Dwayne Wade. And of course, that's the 2 out of 3 that I have. The other one is also a Dwayne Wade El Heat jersey for that Latin pride. And yeah, those were probably my best gifts. I mean, as simple as they are, they just meant everything to me. To have Dwayne Wade, favorite basketball player, also Ray Allen. Shout out to Ray Allen, you tall bastard. I love you. But yeah, those 2 jerseys, the all-white Miami Heat championship edition jersey and the Miami Vice jersey. Those are my favorite gifts of all time. And that's it. I'm going to you.
So
John with no H.
John with no H.
Just realized.
Unless it's Jonathan, then you put the H after the T. I know it's too much for you to handle right now.
Can't get jiggy with shit.
Let me give you some tips first, because you said Christmas is about to get expensive. Look, man, you got to teach your kids early. Christmas is all about love and spending time with your family, and giving to others. Not you giving to your kids, but all you as a family giving to others. How that manifests itself, I don't know. As long as you don't spend any money on anybody, but just it's not about them wanting and give. No. We're gonna give something to someone. We're gonna bless them with our presence.
John, can I add a comment into this? I got a 9. Well, he's gonna be 9 on the 30th. His name is Kingston. I also call him Cookie because he is the cookie fucking monster. I asked Kingston, what do you want Santa Claus to bring you for Christmas this year? He said, I want the purple mattress. You guys are aware of the purple mattress?
Like $2,000.
Yeah. Well, luckily for me, he has a twin size bed. It's $750.
Oh, that's lucky, yeah.
I tell him, Kingston, what if Santa Claus cannot bring you the purple mattress? You know what this kid tells me? He tells me, it's okay. I have my family, and that's all that's really important. I'll just ask for one next year. What am I supposed to do? I got the purple mattress on Saturday. I had no choice.
You got to return it. Return that shit.
Yeah.
And get them the half price imitation. Get them the violet mattress, whatever it's called. I mean, but yeah, like, so worst. I'm gonna go back to childhood, and then I'll talk about gifts as an adult. So the worst gift, growing up poor, right? Yes. After my mom divorced my stepfather, they came the same year. Fucking tube socks, just plain white, fucking 12-pack Walmart tube socks, right? That's it. Enough said, right?
I've gotten that a couple of years.
Yeah, right? That shit never gets old. It's the one that keeps on giving.
Underwear and socks.
Yeah.
I don't even go down the sock aisle in Walmart because of that shit.
The same year.
I sent my wife. I was like, hey babe, get me those ankle socks right there. I can't She's like, "Fuck is wrong with you? I just can't walk down that aisle. Fucking socks, man. Still there.
Although fucking talking about tube socks, now I'm wearing like the Walmart out because that's where I'm gonna buy my socks, like the bright colored Russell Athletic whatever fucking calf length socks. My wife is like, "What the fuck are you wearing? Bright like orange, neon green, and red?" I'm like, "I can rock them now." She's like, "But that's what your 11-year-old wears." I'm like, "I'm a kid at heart." I was like, "You can hold my hand still." She's like, Nah, I don't want to be seen in public with you."
A little side note here. Those I'm going to give a shout out to those and one socks, the ultra soft and one socks at fucking Walmart for $11.99 for the dozen. Them shits are softer than a motherfucker. It's like walking on butter, baby. So,
son, I got you beat, son. The Hanes Ultra Comfort socks. They have Hanes by the toes with like a little signature X. The most comfortable socks you've ever worn in your life.
All right, I'll buy some.
I'm gonna have to step my sock game up.
And
this is the oldest shit we've ever talked about on this podcast. We're talking about the comfort of socks. People have tuned out. They've unsubscribed. They're out. Like these 30-something fucks are talking about the comfort of Walmart socks.
They're not even talking about good socks. Fucking Walmart socks.
Walmart socks. Fuck it. The country's poor.
So worst gift, right? When I was younger, not really a kid, probably in my teens. Being that we grew up in Miami, my mother gets me a black. It looks like a guayabera, right? With like the texture in the front, but long sleeve. And you know what? Everybody used to wear these fucking like a dragon or some crazy design in the back. People would rock that shit to the club. At the time, I was like, "Yeah, man, this shit is hot." And I still have it. I have it sitting in a box, waiting to donate to Goodwill. I don't want to part with it. It's been sitting in that box for like 6 months now, man.
Oh, for the next podcast, see this shit.
And I'm just like, I'm gonna bring it out. I'm like, this shit is gold. It's like it's a golden fucking dragon. I'm like, this shit is fire. I mean, it was like 20 years ago, but it was the best and the worst gift at the same time. Because looking at it right now, I was like, man, I can't go in public like this. But I might just rock it with my wife one of these days.
Fuck it, do it. Roll that shit.
Best gift. I was like 10 years old, and it was like the best Christmas as a 10-year-old because I got a Super NES and some fucking LA Gears with like light up purple shit. You couldn't say shit to me. You couldn't say anything to me. I was the shit. With some fucking socks, by the way. I was rocking them shit. And them long ass I go down to my calf, denim shorts.
No, do your wives watch the podcast?
My wife sometimes
from time to time. Well, yeah, we'll watch it and we'll just watch clips. I fast forward because she's not gonna watch an hour or an hour and a half. She's like, I already listened to you enough.
True.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out what
my wife hears me. My wife hears me through the wall, so she's like, I know. She always tells me after the podcast, "You talk too much. You need to let John talk." I'm sure I'm just way louder than him. So I
was gonna ask if you were in safe distance to ask him to say what you got him, but I'm gonna assume that's a hell no. If it's a surprise, this long, have you even done anything?
I will tell you the best gift then as an adult, and I mean it's a lot. Like after a while, you just stop getting stuff for each other. Like we do stuff together. We travel a lot with the kids. We go visit family, and we try to make like that's what one of the things that I try to like tell my kids. Like it's just about having experiences, whether it's Christmas, whether it's whatever. Let's get away for a 3-day weekend and go do something together. Like that video game is gonna be old because there's gonna be a new Xbox that's coming out in about a year and a half, but that Europe trip that we took with your cousins and your aunts, and we were in Europe for 3 weeks, and we were in paragliding, and we did all sorts of crazy shit. You're never gonna forget that. And that's probably the best thing that we did. That was like really kind of like an early Christmas present because we spent a couple weeks like throughout Europe, but we spent 1 week with my family who I hadn't seen in person. Bro, in about 20, just as long as I've known you. Like I met you when I was in 8th grade. And that year I went to Venezuela and I saw my family, and that's the last time I saw them in person. Like some have come and visited, but the one that I visited in Spain, I hadn't seen them since I was about 12, 13 years old. We keep in touch through WhatsApp and Facebook and all that stuff. But man, that was awesome. And like the fact that we spent an entire week, we just kind of hung out and spent it with them and caught up. And it was like our friendship, man. It's like we never missed a beat. Like we just picked right back up from where we left. And we,
we never missed a beat. Yeah.
Seeing our cousins and our aunts and our uncles and all that, it was just gold. It was like gold. You know, I got a cousin. We got a few cousins that live up there, and it's like never skip a beat. Like I saw him maybe 2 years ago, and I really, really, really like to go to Panama. I'm gonna try to go every 2 years. I mean, family is where it's at. I mean, I had the time of my life going on this trip. I found out a lot of things about Ben that I didn't know. He eats a lot. People judge him.
You know that?
No, yeah. But I imagine that he ate a lot. I didn't know that he ate. I didn't know it was humanly possible. But man, that was an awesome bonding trip. Like that was a memory going to Panama. And I mean, even my aunt, like you spend time with aunts and uncles. I mean, cousins, you understand, you know, you're relatively the same age,
right,
close in age. But to have that connection with like an aunt or an uncle or something like that, that shit is timeless. Like I think about my aunt every single day and I know what she thinks. And it was just a week. And it was like, but every breathing second we were together.
Yeah.
And it was worth everything. It was worth it.
Hey, we spent.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but hold on. I noticed something really important. I noticed something big. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. How come it looks like Ben is about to take a shot of wheatgrass and read some fucking poetry at an open mic night right now?
Sound like.
Hold on.
Hold on. Wait, been bothering me for a minute.
I'll bust out a poem right now, son. Ready? John, go fuck yourself. Thank you.
I didn't catch that. Was that a haiku?
I feel like Ben. I feel like when I see Ben, this is what I see.
Oh shit!
Yes. Son, I need that chain, son. I need that chain.
Yes, you do.
First of all, they don't even make that Cuban link anymore, do they? That's the one they sell at like the precinct pagodas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the one that turn your neck green.
Go to Miami. Go to that Miami flea market. The one in the hood. They have them.
And I'm never going there, sir. Listen, there's levels where I'll go now. Like, nah. I'm not saying I'm better than the flea market, but I'm just never going back to the flea market. You understand what I'm saying? Like I've been there, seen it, moved on.
All right. Maybe next time I go down there, I'll pick one up for you. It's gonna be a long ass chain because that neck's thick.
Yeah. What fits most people won't go around my neck. God damn.
All right.
John, you want to go on? Was that your last one? The traveling is the best gift. Like that's what we do too.
Yeah.
Like like next year. I don't think we're gonna make it to Panama when everybody's trying to make their trip this March, because I'm trying to save up and go actually to Japan to see my brother. I'm shooting for like next November. You know what I mean? Like around maybe August, November in that time frame. Sometime after the Olympics, because I don't want to be there with all that madness. Because it's gonna be in Tokyo, so I'm not really fucking with that. Yeah, man, traveling is. I didn't. So that's one thing that I'm very appreciative of my wife about, man. Like I didn't realize how great it is to travel, and like how much fun it is to like. We went on our honeymoon. We did 18 days. Did Madrid, Barcelona, Portugal, and if you ever have the chance to travel to Portugal, there's these islands off the coast called the Azores, right? Mm-hmm. The most beautiful place I've ever seen, visited in my life. Like it's a 2-hour flight from Portugal to the Azores. It's amazing. It's crazy. Like just being there was like, holy shit. Like it was one of those moments where you're like, man, I need to get the fuck out more. Like I need to see more than just Miami. You know what I mean? And just in Florida, period, or anything. Traveling that's what we do. We don't do gifts for Christmas. We try to save up and plan for traveling and figure out where we're gonna go next and just do shit like that, man. It's been a while, you know what I mean, since we traveled together. But that's next is us going to Japan.
Dope.
I'm not looking forward because that's a long flight.
I got Spain next year.
Yeah, we're going
Spain's
back to
beautiful,
Spain
bro.
next year.
In September.
We might
Yo,
go back for the holidays.
if you guys have the chance, look up. I think it's called like Scott's Cheap Flights. You can find really good flights for a really good price.
Okay.
Where you don't. It's not like some elite. You know what I mean? It's not some sketchy shit. Like
Right.
it's how it'll work is like every day you'll get an email. Every day you'll get an email where like all the flights where you can go to, like that are in your area. So like for us, like you put like the airports you can fly out of. Like for me, it'll be like I put Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, Orlando, and then we got like an email that was like going to Japan for like $600.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? When, like, typically it's like 12, 13, 1400.
Yeah.
We went. We could have flown to like London for $350. You know what I mean? It's like these crazy cheap flights where you could just. It's one of those things where like if you have the money, you can just pick up and go. Because once you're in Europe, bro, like it's so much cheaper because the travel is you don't have to worry about renting cars. It's all high speed trains and all that. So it's a lot cheaper to commute in Europe. Like I love
cities, you take taxis, you take the metro, you take the bus, and then to go from one country to another, you take like a $60 hop or something like that. Like just get on a plane and you go from like Germany, Dusseldorf, and we went to Rome, and it was like $60 or $50. It's so cheap to fly over there.
It's so different, bro. It's not the scam of shit that they do here,
bro.
We're like Steven, it cost you like $250 to fly from fucking Atlanta to Orlando.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean, crazy shit. Like no, and if you're going to other countries, you can hop on a high speed train in an hour, being fucking in a totally different part of the world. It's
$40
bro. Yeah, it's crazy shit, bro. It's crazy. So traveling is my goal for next year. You know what I mean? Obviously, just not gonna take any vacation. Like turning 36, whatever. I'll go play Top Golf. But yeah, man, the goal is Japan in 2020.
Dope.
I thought about going to the Olympics because I've never been to the Olympics, but I don't like that many people, bro. Like I don't want to be like Japan's already crazy enough. I don't want to be around more people. Bump into like LeBron James or Steph Curry or some shit, which is cool, but nah. Because you get him in a crowd. Japanese aren't that tall, man. All right, man. John, you want to end this hour and 38-minute podcast with your barista story and how much you hate millennials?
Man, I think there's no better way to end it than that.
There's no better way. Here, let me pull you up, and you have the entire screen to yourself for your ending rant of the podcast.
Yeah, can we do something? You see that screen that you got right there? You see my other screen? On the main screen? Yeah. Okay. Millennials. Escúchame. Listen to me. Ponte a trabajar, muchacho. I just want a $2.35 doppio con pana. That's the Italian term for a double shot of espresso with a dollop of whipped cream. That's it. What I don't want is for you to drink a 32-ounce bottle of fucking NyQuil, 10 minutes before we get on shift, and then approach me at the counter like I just shat all over your fucking Mickey D's. Can I get some customer service? I'm a millennial too. I hear you. The boomers fucking destroyed this world. They're driving V8s, 350 horsepower Tahoes. Actually, that's me. That's beside the point. They're destroying the planet. Global warming is a thing. I get it. Okay? Tuition in 2001 when I was a freshman in college was nothing. Now, 40 grand a year. And that's fucking public school. I know, hard times. I feel you. But you're working at fucking Starbucks. You got me? You and your fucking partner, whatever her name was. You guys, maybe you split the fucking NyQuil bottle. I don't know. But when I come up to the counter, can you please give me more than just, what can I get for you? Can you give me more than that, please? Because you're the fucking reason that millennials like me and them two get shat on. That we're lazy, that we don't give a shit, that we don't want to work, that we're putting entire economies out of business. No one wants to eat cereal anymore. I just want some customer service. You show up to a fucking job interview like that? How the fuck did you get the job at Starbucks in the first place? I just want my double shot with whipped cream for $2.35 with a smile on your face. That's it. That's all I want. Work with me. I'm the wiser, older millennial. You got questions? I got answers. Thank you.
Damn. I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'm a little bit afraid because you were looking straight into the camera and it was kind of intimidating.
That's how you got to do it. You got to bring the fire, baby.
That's what I'm talking about, man. Man, that was a fucking good podcast, bro.
Yeah.
Get the chancleta. That's how we end this bitch.
All right,
oh, man.
Gentlemen,
People,
pleasure.
I'll talk to y'all probably right after I end the live. Right? It was a pleasure. It was a good time. Let's end this bitch.